All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Um, we're just going to chat a little bit about my lipedema story. Nothing too, you know, too formal, no explanation of what lipedema is. If you want to know more, I'll have a description of what lipedema is in the description box below. I'll also link to really good resources on lipedema. But for now, let's just chat about what it is that is my lipedema and my lymphedema story. So let's go back a few years to when I was just changing jobs. So I was a manager at a coffee shop for a few years, and I got the opportunity to work at a tech company. And right around that time, when I was transitioning between the two jobs, I had one of my legs swell up really bad, like so bad to the point where I actually ended up going to the emergency room to have it checked out. Um, if I can, I'll put up a graphic of what my leg kind of looked like so you can get an idea of like what it looked like. Just think basically everything from my toes all the way up to like I want to say my calf was just one big straight column. And it was like noticeable enough that people were concerned and thinking that, it might have been like deep vein thrombosis or like some kind of vascular issue like that. So, anyway, what happened was I was checked out by the emergency room, like the emergency ambulatory room. They decided that I was fine, that my veins were fine. I later found out that their ultrasound was basically rubbish. At least that's what my current vascular surgeon says, because he thinks that that was actually what triggered my lymphedema. And so, way back when, my primary care doctor was a resident, meaning like he had just graduated from medical school and was starting to practice on his own. And he could not find anything wrong. He could not explain why like the heat made my legs feel worse, why I had so much like fluid behind my ankles, which I still have now. Why the tops of my feet were really like swollen and puffy, almost like a bee sting, like just really um, soft and round looking, very classic lipedema. And so that was like, quite a few years ago, I think like 4 years ago. And it wasn't until last, I want to say last year or like last summer, a year ago, in which I was at an urgent care, meaning like a walk in um, clinic. It's sort of like an emergency room, but for less severe issues. And I was talking to like the nurse who was treating me, and she looked down at my ankles, and I was wearing like skinny jean corduroys that don't really stretch. They're not made to stretch. And she could see I was just busting right through them. And I had like at this point ankle cuffs on both legs, and I still had the swelling on the top of my feet and the back of my ankles, but not as much as like 4 years ago. And my legs were more uniform, so like both legs were kind of the same size. And so she tried to roll up my pants to take a look at my legs, and she couldn't. And she started poking me, and she noticed I had non-pitting edema. And she was like, "Lady, you've got lymphedema." And I looked at her like, "Really? I do?" Like, because I had never been diagnosed, so I was really happy to finally get a name for it. She's like, "Yeah, you've got lymphedema." She pulls up her scrubs. She shows me her compression. She's like, "You got to wear compression." And I thought, "No, I don't." So I didn't. I did look up like all the stuff you should do if you have lymphedema, like eating right, taking supplements, and all of that stuff, like dry brushing and rolling your skin, the fascia blasting and the manual lymph drainage. And I just thought, okay, well, I'll just start slow. Like, I'll start with dry brushing and I'll start with rolling my skin. And so I ordered all these contraptions to do for myself, and I started slow, and I did both legs equally, and I managed to get my legs down to looking kind of normal, actually, like really good. The swelling on my actual feet got down to a point where I only have like a little lymph pocket between my big toe and my second toe, and then the back of my ankle. And from the front, you would never know I have lymphedema. So it's like, it's pretty good. And I think that MLD is really important, manual lymph drainage. What else? What is really important? What's really important, though, is getting your doctor to believe you, to understand, to write a prescription and get you to go to a place where you can have proper manual lymph drainage, because it really is a process. It's something where, like, you've really got to do every single step in order, and it's kind of like, I don't know if you guys are gonna like me for this, but think of chakras. If you've ever heard of chakras before, if you haven't, I'll do it like a really quick explainer. Chakras are these energy points on the body, believed by some people and some religions and some cultures, that you have like energy points running down the center of your body, and you have to clear them in order to become like enlightened and feel better. It's like the easiest way I can say it. And with MLD, believe it or not, you got to do the same thing. You've really got to start like here in your trunk. So typically when you get professional manual lymph drainage, you start clearing your neck and your collarbone, and then you work down to your trunk, and you really open up your trunk first. And by open up, I mean clear your, like, press down and make sure that you're breathing really deeply and you're actually having your diaphragm do some work for your trunk, you know, getting your bladder ready, getting your lymph nodes around your navel pumping, because there is no organ that actually pumps your lymphatic system. It's just your lymph nodes, and if they don't pump properly, then you end up with lymphedema. So what I mean by clear is just like, you've really got to make sure that everything is moving properly up here in order for down there to be pumping up somewhere. The best way I can explain it is, let's think of a canyon and a dam. If you create a dam on a plain, there's nowhere for the water to go. It just spreads. And that's like lymphedema, isn't it? If you create a dam at a canyon, then you have a place, you have a basin for the water to fill up. And that's kind of what you're doing with your gut when you prepare your gut first, when you do the MLD at your navel first before touching your legs. And I know a lot of you think, well, when I wake up in the morning, I just want to start like stroking my legs and like get my legs pumping. Yeah, but to where? Like, did you prep your belly first, And so think of it that way. Like for MLD, you really don't want to start at your ankles and work your way up. You really kind of want to work your way to your navel, and then from your navel, you go immediately to your knees, the other place where you have a lot of lymph nodes, and then you kind of do section by section. So I think part of the lymphedema process is not only understanding what tools to have in your toolbox, but also really just getting doctors and certified lymphatic therapists on your side, teaching you things, teaching you why you have to do certain things, not just telling you have to do certain things. And so as time went on, and even though I had been told I had lymphedema, I actually didn't pursue it with any of my doctors, and so I didn't have the proper tools in my toolbox. It's like I had the wrench, I had the hammer, I didn't know how to use them properly. I was using them kind of correctly, but I was still stripping threads because I was still doing MLD without clearing my trunk first. And as soon as I had proper MLD done, where my trunk was cleared first and then my legs were done, I lost weight. Like immediately I lost weight. I was using the bathroom. I was peeing like immediately after my therapy sessions. And it was just amazing. Like just really good. So that's what I recommend. If someone casually just tells you, oh, I think you have lymphedema, or I'm sure you have lymphedema, you need to get it printed out and bring it to your doctor. Like if you're in the UK, you need to get it to your GP, because your GP is your person for everything. And so you're not going to be able to go to therapy without your GP signing off on it first. And in the States, we have HMOs that kind of are the same way, where you have to go to your primary care provider first, and then they give you a referral, and then you can continue. I'm very lucky in that my doctor doesn't need to do that with my health insurance, so I can just pursue things on my own. But I'm still consulting my vascular surgeon for everything because I just really want him to be more educated as I become more educated. And I think that's how the medical community improves, is by us continuously informing them, hey, there's a new study out. Oh, hey, this is what I just learned when I went to therapy. And it helps that doctor then go on to treat other patients better. So what happened in between being told I have lymphedema and not really doing much about it officially, and then being told I had lipedema? That's the fun part. That is an interesting story. So here I knew that I had lymphedema for 6 months. So I think it was like November to March. So it's, relatively 6 months. And we started to shelter in place here because at the time of this taping, we're still suffering from a pandemic. At least here in Las Vegas, we're still very much suffering from a pandemic. And so people are basically staying at home and trying not to interact with other people. And so that leads to a lot of online diagnosis. And so I was really frustrated with my situation. I thought I had COVID-19. I had a lot of symptoms of COVID-19. What happened was I have a really rare form of asthma. It's pretty bad. It causes chronic cough and shortness of breath and all that. Plenty of things that kind of overlap with COVID-19. And so I went to urgent care one day after work. This was the day that we started sheltering in place. And I go to, again, the walk-in clinic. And I talked to a doctor about my symptoms. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm having an asthma attack. And he's like, I'm pretty sure you're not, because you're not wheezing. And again, I have a type of asthma that does not cause wheezing. It causes coughing. And so the doctor's looking up my nose and my throat. And at the time, we didn't know that COVID-19 was so transmissible. So, we were not wearing masks. And he's taking a closer look at me, and he really, really thought that I had a sinus infection. And here in the States, when you get a sinus infection, you get prednisone. You get a steroidal anti-inflammatory. And so I was given a giant whopping prescription for it. And when I asked about, what is it called? Contraindications for medicines, he told me that it would be fine with my lymphedema because lymphedema is technically just an inflammation of, the lymph system, the lymphatic system. And so what happened was I took my prednisone, didn't really see a change. And then a week after taking the dose that I was given, which was massive, by the way, my feet, which I just told you about, suddenly looked so skinny. You could see every bone, every ligament. There is not one drop of lymphatic fluid present at all. My feet had changed. I ran to all my shoes and tried them all on, and I was like, oh, I can fit in my shoes again. It was just amazing. So I went online and looked up, what is it about anti-inflammatory steroidal drugs and lymphedema that causes the lymphedema to go away. And there were lots of discussions actually online about people taking steroids for one condition, let's say lupus, and then treating lymphedema on the other hand. However, guess what? You can't be on steroidal anti-inflammatories for the rest of your life. That's actually pretty dangerous because it cuts off a major supply of hormones to your body and makes you dependent on that hormone, on that drug. And so it was well, crap. So that means I can't take this miracle drug that made my legs slimmer and made my feet look normal. That means I can't take that very long. So in looking up, what kind of effects that drug had on my body, I ended up coming across lipedema. it's a long story about how I came across lipedema, but let's just say I came across lipedema, and I was pretty sure I didn't have it because I kept seeing like stage 4 and stage 3 women who are quite loby, like meaning they're like their bodies are quite round, and their thighs and their hips sort of have these lobes and like curvatures, kind of like marshmallowy look to them. And I kept thinking, like, that doesn't look like me, but it looks like my mother. That's what she looked like after she had me. That's what she looks like now. And so I thought, well, this is interesting. Why don't I check out like stage 1, stage 2? And so I started looking it up, and then holy cow, I finally saw my legs. Like, finally saw my legs somewhere. It was really crazy. Like, the straight looking legs since you were a kid, like the little ankle cuffs. Some women had it like really bad, especially in the front. I have it really bad on the sides. And I was just shocked. I was just like, wow, so I have lipedema. So that's what this is called. And so I started looking up all the, resources and support groups I could find. And then finally, a support group had a list of doctors you could see in your state in the United States. And so I went to the one doctor that we have here in Vegas who knows what lipedema is. So we thought there's like two, actually, two. And I went to him as soon as I could. So I found that information in March, and I waited because we thought that the pandemic was actually peaking here, like really bad in April. Turns out we were wrong because it's July and it's worse now. So in May, I finally left the house, went to his office, and got a positive evaluation, got a diagnosis. There was a lot of poking, a lot of prodding, a lot of lift your arms and show me your wiggle, your arms. And okay, ladies, get ready for this. He referred me to Dr. Amron. That's right, the Beverly Hills surgeon. Immediately just said, you know what, you should talk to him. He knows a lot about lipedema, and maybe he can do surgery on you. There was no talk of like, what is that called? Conservative therapy. And so I told him, well, listen, I want to do conservative therapy for the rest of the year. If we have a vaccine in the fall, I'll sign up for the vaccine because of my asthma. I probably will get it. And we'll talk about surgery then. But let's see what diet, exercise, lymph drainage can do. And so he heard me. He listened to my concerns. He sent me to a physical therapy to do the manual lymph drainage. They taught me how to do it properly. They recommended compression, which I'm wearing now. And I bought some. And I gotta say, like, all of that really changed. Now, not every woman who has lipedema has a lymphatic problem as bad as mine, okay? So I wear my compression and I eat a special diet, which is tailored to me and is not necessarily right for everybody. But I wear my compression to be compliant and because I have lymphedema. Not everybody who has lipedema has lymphedema. Let's just be clear. Does that mean you shouldn't wear compression? No, you should wear some form of compression, at least 20 millimeters mercury, I think. Because one, it feels really good, especially when you start swelling. It feels really good to have that nice squeeze, that nice hug. And also just because, like, to be honest, your lymphatics are leaky, whether you have really leaky lymphatics like me or not, And it really doesn't hurt. It really, really, really doesn't hurt. Also, the lymphoscintigraph that I just had yesterday, sometimes they do it too quickly and they can't tell that your lymphatics are really bad. Like for me, they did it after about 15 minutes of walking around, but I was told initially that they would do it 4 hours, which I think probably would have been a little bit more clear on like how bad my lymphatics are. But hey, they did it after 15 minutes, and who knows, when I get the results, I'll make another video and let you know. But I wouldn't be surprised if some women with really mild lymphatic problems should wait 4 hours and then have the imaging taken or the images taken. Please be warned, lymphoscintigraphy or whatever it's called is really painful. There are so few videos on YouTube about it. It's really painful. It really sucks. I get kidney stones. I get migraines. I have endometriosis. This is worse. This was so much worse. I yelled at my doctor. I thought to myself, what did I do to deserve this? Did I kill his cat? No. Did I hurt his kids? No. Why is he doing this to me? It was really, really painful. They put a needle between your toes, and they often hit a bone. Whether they admit it or not, they often hit a bone. It's really painful. Some women report swelling and bruising for months afterwards. Some women report that it just really, really hurts the day of and the pain doesn't go away till the next day. For me, luckily, after you have a few kidney stones, you can deal with pain like that. So I bit my hand, dealt with it, cried, got through it, and the pain went away, I think, in like 20 minutes. It was fine. But everybody tolerates pain differently, so if you're particularly sensitive, be prepared. Bring some numbing gel, and you can put some numbing gel on the injection site, and it won't hurt nearly as much. But it'll hurt when they hit your bone. It's gonna hurt, especially if you have little feet like me, and my bones are close together. All right, so that was my lymph and lipedema story. So July 2016, that's when my lymphedema came on, left leg. November 2019, that's when I was told I had lymphedema for sure. March 2020, that's when I discovered that I had lipedema, and then I finally got a diagnosis in May. And right now, I am on my first set of compression stockings. Gonna buy another set probably next week, probably from Juzo. Juzo, listen, hey, hi, want to team up? What's next after that? I'm gonna get a pair of lipoelastic arm compression. Thanks to the lovely lipoelastic ladies who are generously offering me a discounted pair of compression. That's really sweet. And then after that, I will be updating this channel on my search for a surgeon because these arms have got to go. So I will be updating the channel soon. Look out for the next video. Please subscribe so that you don't miss another video. If you hit the bell button, you'll actually know when I upload because I'm not sure if I'm going to upload on a schedule. Be sure to like this video if you thought it was useful. And hey, leave a comment on your story. I want to hear what you did. If you don't feel like making a video, I encourage you to do so. But if you don't feel like making one, leave me a comment. Tell me and everybody else in the world, how did you know you had lymphedema? How did you know you had lipedema? And what are some of the tricks and what are some of the tools in your toolbox that help you out on a daily basis? I think we all really want to know. So thanks everyone. Ciao, peace, and we'll see you next time. Bye.